that fruit. I was vegan. I was supposed to be vegan. I was supposed to have a six-pack, not like the whole thing, just like a starter pack where you can see the outline, and then you had to go eat that fruit. And now Chick-fil-A has me bound in a way that I can't even explain. God told me though I had to forgive Eve. And I've actually created a ministry that has been inspired by Eve, because God told me in the middle of me saying that I wanted to be petty in heaven, that they don't allow that in heaven. So any of you who have been waiting to talk to somebody when you get to heaven, girl, you might as well figure that out down here, because when we get to heaven, we're going to be like worshiping and stuff. There's no room for petty. God told me I had to forgive Eve because he said that there have been moments when I knew better but didn't do better. And so I had to be willing to forgive her for knowing better but not doing better. And so when I studied this environment that was supposed to be favorable, I recognized that what created this whole notion that Eve messed it up is that the environment never really changed her perspective on the environment changed. When she has this encounter with the serpent that ultimately leads her to eating from the fruit, she's still in the garden, but because she has been awakened to something she should have never been awakened to, that which was supposed to be favorable now represents shame. Like in a family, when everything is supposed to be favorable and then there's a trauma that occurs. And now the area that was supposed to grow me and the area that was supposed to support me has traumatized me and represents shame. How do you flourish when the environment is not favorable? God, I want to be able to flourish in this marriage. I want to be able to flourish at school, but there's this thing, this trauma, this disappointment that has happened to me, and now what was supposed to be favorable has stunted my growth. This mandate to flourish, it sounds good until it's time for us to live every day in environments that don't always support what we're trying to do and who we're trying to become. That's why opportunities like this that Pastor Barb has created is important, because you can get in a room that's going to help you flourish. I can't control what happens when you get out of this room, but I know that they've been intentional about making sure when you get in this room that there's an environment that will help you grow. Somebody ought to praise God right now that someone is thinking about you, that someone made a decision that this had to happen. It didn't matter what the budget was, it didn't matter whether people came or not. They said if one woman comes and she gets changed and transformed and she flourishes, we can change the whole city. You see, I'm a church girl, we don't need everybody to get saved. We just need one or two people who don't mind being set on fire for Jesus. We just need one or two people who actually believe that they're fearfully and wonderfully made. And maybe old school, I don't know. But we just need one or two people who believe I can set this city on fire with my hands. You back me up against the wall, and I get in my prayer closet. Glory can break it. That's a good word. Let me tell you something. Okay, guys, I have a podcast. Things happen. We say child all the time. I paid them to come as well. Eve has to figure out how to flourish in spite of what she's gone through.
Come on.
And that is your mandate as well. Which means that at a certain point we have to forgive the people who ruined that environment that was supposed to grow us.
Come on, God.
Because as long as we are holding them hostage, we have to recognize that we're holding our growth hostage as well.
Amen.
That's why forgiveness is never about the other person, and it's always about you, because you cannot flourish and hold someone hostage at the same time. In order to hold them hostage, you got to stay at their level. But when you decide that you've outgrown this, when you decide that I'm bigger than this now, I can let you go, because I'm not even the person who you hurt anymore. You hurt an old version of me. You broke an old version of me. And I'm glad you did it, because I put the pieces back together, and now I'm stronger than I was before, and I'm wiser than I was before. Because I've made a decision to flourish in spite of what happened to me. And Eve makes this decision to flourish in spite of what happened to her. I love in Genesis 3:15, God explains to the serpent that he's going to be cursed for tricking the woman, because the enemy was never really after her diet, he was after her mind. He never really cared whether she ate from the fruit. It was all about what eating from the fruit would do to her. Because if someone can get you to change their diet, change your diet, they know I can get you to change your mind.
Okay, girl.
I don't mean just food. I mean, if I can get you to start believing that this secret should just stay between us because no one will believe you, then it changes your mind about who you are. When someone convinces you that you don't have any worth and you don't have any value, then they change your diet. And that's why some of us end up in relationships and situations that we should have never been in. It really has nothing to do with that relationship, and it has everything to do with what we ate when we were younger that changed our mind about who we are. But in this text in Genesis 3:15, God says to the serpent, because you have tricked this woman, you are cursed. And part of that curse is that I'm going to put enmity between you and the woman. That word enmity is war. It's a two-way street, though. It's a two-way street, this notion of enmity. And he says, I'm going to put enmity between you and the woman, and her seed is going to crush your head, but your seed is going to bruise her heel. Which means that the woman is going to have to survive having her heel bruised in order to crush the head of the enemy. That means that life is going to change the way you walk, but it will not change the promise connected to you now.
Okay.
Changed the way I walked. When I was 13 years old, I got pregnant. Life bruised my heel. Changed the way I walked. From there, I changed my diet and I made decisions after decisions that were a reflection of what I thought about myself. It bruised my heel. But then something happened to me when I decided that I really wanted to flourish. And when I decided that I really wanted to flourish, I started to decide that it was better to start walking with a limp than to stay where pain met me.
All right now.
That's all the words somebody needs tonight. That you may not start off running after this trauma. And you may not start off running after this heartbreak. You may have to do it with the limp sometimes. But you have to make a decision down on the inside of you that I'm going to get up from this place where pain met me. I'm going to get up. You know why? Because bruised heels still crush serpent's head. And that means that I got to take this bloody heel. And I got to take this divorce. And I got to put a baby on my hip and work paycheck to paycheck. I'm willing to do that so that I can figure out the next dimension of who I am. I am not who my hurt says I am. I am not where the enemy met me. I am who God says I am. I can do what God says I can do. And I'm crazy enough to believe that I can still do it.
Amen.
I can still do it. I can still do it. It doesn't matter whether or not my mother did it. It doesn't matter whether or not my cousin did it. I'm not here to bear witness over what they can do. I'm here to bear witness over what Jesus can do in my life. That's how you break a generational curse. You stop measuring your progress based off of what everyone else did. And you start minding your business. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm here on my own mission. I'm here for my own purpose. I'm trying to figure out why God put me in the room. I'm trying to figure out why He put air in my lungs. Eve makes this radical decision after her trauma to produce because she believed that there was still favor in her environment. Genesis 3:15 says that her seed would crush the head of the serpent. That means I still have favor. I still got favor. I love this definition because it says a favorable environment, favor able. Favor is still able to come and get me. Favor is still able to come and reach me. Favor is still able, even in my darkest days. Favor is still able. Favor will look past my addiction and say, I'm still able. Favor will have me working a job that I'm not even qualified for because favor is still able. Favor is still able to save my child. Favor is still able to break this depression off of me. Can we just flow in this room for a minute? Because I feel like somebody needs to know that favor is still able. I'm still able to look past your mistakes. I'm still able to look past who left you. Favor is still able to create an environment for you to flourish. And so Eve puts favor to the test, and she starts producing. She starts to grow because the promise is connected to her growth. The promise is not connected to her staying where she is. The promise is connected to her growth. If she's willing to use what is down inside of her to produce it and let it come out of her, that's what God can bless, that can crush the head of the serpent. He said, your seed, the seed that you produce, the seed is not just a book, it's seed. It's not just a business, it's seed. It's not just a marriage, it's seed. It's seed. It's seed. You got to see it properly because that seed is meant to crush the head of an enemy somewhere. That seed is meant to crush the head of depression. That seed is meant to crush the statistic about girls like us who do things like we do and still come out on the other side. This is not just a ministry, this is a seed. My testimony was a seed. And so Eve produces her seed. And I love this because Eve never really sees whether or not her seed is the seed that crushes the head of the serpent. But she makes a decision within herself that it doesn't matter whether I see it, I just want to set it in motion. Because I realize if I set it in motion that God can do the rest. Sometimes we don't want to get started because we don't know how God is going to finish it. But I hear God saying you don't have to worry about how it's going to get finished. You need to worry about setting it in motion.
Amen.
There's some things in this room. I feel the presence of God. There's some things in this city that God has been waiting to set in motion. And he's been waiting for a woman who didn't care whether or not she was qualified to do it, or whether she could get the bank to approve it, or whether she could get some friends to get behind it. That she didn't mind setting it in motion even if she had to do it by herself. I don't know who you are. I don't know what that idea is that God gave you that he said would change this city. But I hear God saying you don't need funding. You need to set that thing in motion. That you don't need a ministry. You got to set that thing in motion. You can do it without the degree. You can do it without the backing. You don't need what everyone else needed because God does not follow a formula. He said I can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you can ask or imagine. Don't put me in a box, baby. I press out of the ways of those
Big up my church, baby.
The whole conversation we had down here.
Eve sets this thing in motion.
Yes.
And Mary is about to finish what Eve started. In Genesis 3:15, that text about the seed is actually a foreshadowing of Jesus Christ. And it stands to reason that in that moment, though it was just Eve, that God knew that there was a Mary connected to Eve. Yeah, that means that for every moment in your life where you knew better but didn't do better, there's also a Mary connected to that version of you as well. And that Mary is meant to birth divinity from the same place where the enemy tried to birth shame. God says, I can show you who I am from that place where the enemy produced shame. And so, in my text, Mary doesn't know it, but she's about to finish what Eve started. I felt that for somebody. Somebody's here because they're going to finish what another woman started. Somebody's here because their great-grandmother was a great woman of faith, and they're here to finish what she started in the earth. I feel like somebody's mother didn't quite get to where she wanted to be in life, but that's okay because you're her legacy, and you're going to finish what she started. Somebody's got to receive that word for their family because what you set in motion, generations are going to finish what you set in motion, but you're also here to finish what some people started before you got here. Maybe it's not even in your bloodline. Maybe it's somebody she's not here to finish it, but she imparted something down on the inside of me that is going to equip me to finish what she started. When I look at great women of faith who are no longer preaching or ministering, maybe they've gone on to heaven, I don't think to myself, what a tragedy. I think to myself, let me pick up the baton and finish what she started. And I wish that we as women could understand the power of us getting together and finishing what the other one starts, because that's how movements are created, and that's how ministries are birthed that change the world. Mary's going to finish what this woman started. So Mary's just planning her life according to what is acceptable in that time. And she has this encounter with the angel of the Lord. And when she has this encounter with the angel of the Lord, he says something that troubles her. He says, "Blessed are you amongst women. You are highly favored." And that troubled her. And I wish I could say I didn't understand why anyone would be troubled and favored at the same time, but the truth is that sometimes favor is scary. That favor can set you apart and put you in situations and predicaments that you don't always feel qualified for. I want to talk to somebody in this room who is afraid of the favor, because there's a part of you that thinks you might mess it up. Because for some reason you messed up some things in the past, or things didn't go the way that you wanted them to go in the past, and there is an opportunity that is available to you, but you're sabotaging it with your own fears and your own doubts and your own anxieties, because troubles you, this idea of being favored. So I invited Mary to flourish so that she can help us understand who we must become in order to lay hold of the favor connected to our names. So Mary is afraid of this favor. It troubles her. And when this favor troubles her, she has this dialogue. She goes back and forth with the angel of the Lord, and eventually she decides to just accept it. And she says, "May it be as you say." You know, there's something in the text that really stood out to me as we just talk about flourishing that I realized should have been a sign to Mary that everything was going to be okay. I didn't give them this text. But in verse 28, it says, "Rejoice, highly favored one, the Lord is with you." When the angel of the Lord said that the Lord is with you, that means the environment shifted. And she was able to flourish as a result of the fact of who she was with. Because when the Lord is with you, he creates an environment that is favorable. And that environment allows you to grow. That's why we have to be conscious of inviting him into every area where we feel like we're stagnant. Because if you are not flourishing, then you are deteriorating. But if you invite God to be in that place with you, then he creates a favorable environment where all you can do is grow. When I got here this morning, I said to myself, "God, I'm tired and I'm nervous, but if you're with me, I think we can shift some things in the spirit realm, because when I'm with you, the environment changes." That's why it doesn't matter whether people like you at work or not. That's why it doesn't matter whether or not people stay or go, because God is with me. And as long as God is with me, I'm in a favorable environment. I know it may not look like it's favorable right now, but wait till God gets finished growing me from this place. I know it may not look like I have it all together right now, but wait until God gets finished growing me from this place. He is the secret sauce that makes everything that is connected to my name a little bit more flavorful than it was before. The Lord is with me. The Lord is with me. I'm not just applying for this job by myself. The Lord is with me. That means that you can say yes or you can say no, and it really won't matter, because what's for me is for me. What God has in my name can take away. The Lord is with me. I'm raising this child by myself and they're driving me crazy, but that's all right, because the Lord is with me. And when the Lord begins something, he plans to finish it. The Lord is with me. 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 Everywhere I go, he's with me. The Lord is with me. I'm in the middle of a depression, but I got to remind the depression sometimes that the Lord is with me. I'm about to lose my mind in this marriage, but I got to remind this marriage that the Lord is with me. He'll lead me beside still waters. He'll help me to understand the path that I take. It's powerful when you got the Lord with you, because his presence shifts the environment. His presence shifts the environment. This would be just a room unless the presence falls. It would be just a car unless the presence fall. I prayed, I said, God, let your glory fall in this place because it shifts the environment. You see, when we all came in here, we were all carrying our own environments. But when we come into one accord about what this environment needs to look like, that's when hell starts getting nervous. Because if you guys and women got together and decided that heaven needs to touch earth in North Canton, Ohio, and if we get in this room together on one accord, I believe that there would be a sound like a mighty rushing wind, and that the Spirit of God would fall in this place, because the environment's got to shift at my house. The environment's got to shift at my business. I'm crazy enough to believe that we can make the environment shift at home by sending up a praise right now in this place. If you got an environment that needs to shift, this is your 10 seconds to let heaven know. If you're shifting things, shift this home. If you're shifting things, shift this fire. If you're shifting things, if you're shifting hell, let the doctor have the wrong report. Let cancer get out of my body. Let depression let me go. Shift this environment until it looks like you. Shifting, shifting, God, shifting. Shifting, God, shifting. Shifting, God, shifting. Moving out of the way, God. Moving out of the way. I'm tired of finding the same thing over and over again. I get a little bit of peace and lose it the moment I walk into the room. Shift this environment for your glory. Shifting, shifting. I want my city shifting. I want my marriage shifting. Do you know what happened when we came into this room? Heaven is listening. If you've got something that heaven needs to know, shifting, shifting, God, shifting, shifting, God, shifting. One encounter with you and it'll shift everything. One word from you and it'll shift everything. One word from you and I'll have my peace back. One word from you and I'll find my joy again. Shifting, God, shifting, shifting, God, shifting. I hear the demons trembling in North Canton. Shifting, God, shifting. Let the principality be removed. Shifting, God, shifting, shifting. I flourish when the environment shifts. I grow when the environment shifts. Depression can't have me when the environment shifts. Somebody came into this room depressed, but when worship started singing and started lifting off of them, your situation didn't change. God shifted the environment that your situation was in. I can take anything if it's in the right environment. God, you can hand me anything. I put it in the right environment.
Amen.
You got an environment problem, sis.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not a money problem.
Yes.
This is not a relationship issue.
Come on.
This is an environment
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
You hold the key to shifting the environment. You've been giving your power away,
Yeah.
hoping that someone else would shift the environment and finally see your worth and finally see your value and finally give you the promotion and finally give you the apology. You've been waiting for them to shift the environment, and I hear God saying, you're the one who can shift the environment. Remember when I told you that enmity was a two-way street? That means that the devil was constantly coming at the woman, but if the woman had her mind right, she would constantly be coming back at the devil too. God told the serpent that your worst nightmare is not going to be that you are slithering on the ground like a snake. The one thing that you need to look out for more than anything in the earth is a woman who understands the power of her bruise to the crest of serpent's head. And I came here to let 2 or 3 people know that we just opened the road and that it's time for you to let hell know that you've been coming my way, but I'm about to come your way. I'm about to grow until the demons know. I'm about to flourish until hell gets out the way. How you gonna do it? I'm gonna flourish until it happens. happens. I'm going to grow in a favorable environment. I'm going to drive all the way to North Canton on a Friday night because I got to be somewhere that'll grow me up. That's how I'm going to get it done. I'm not looking for anybody to hand me nothing. I'm going to grow my way out of this thing. I'm going to grow my way until I become what heaven had in mind when they placed me in this earth. That's what I'm growing into. God, what did you have in mind when you placed me in this city? There's another definition of flourish that I want to share with you. I know that the one that I read is the one that most of us are familiar with, and maybe you are familiar with this one, but as I was reading it in the context of this text, it made me see things differently. This definition of flourish is said in Merriam-Webster to be an act or instance of brandishing or waving. Brandishing or waving. I was a little bit taken aback because I've never heard flourish used in that context. And so I thought to myself, God, are you asking us to flourish, like grow in a favorable environment, or are you asking us to wave our way into flourishing? Because when I thought about what it looks like when we start waving, it resembles worship to me. And I realized that the way that we invite God into our circumstance and the way that we invite God into our situation, that creates the environment for him to grow us into who we need to be. I see some women waving in the room. I see some women flourishing in the room. Somebody's waving. Somebody's waving like they need heaven to know that I'm ready to flourish. Somebody's waving like they're needing heaven to know that I'm the right woman in the right room. I preached a message a couple weeks ago. I said, you're the woman for the job. Somebody's waving like they want heaven to know I'm the woman for the job. That's ultimately what Mary and Elizabeth started to do. They started coming into agreement with what God said they could produce by flourishing right there on the spot. When we flourish by waving our hands, it creates an opportunity for God to be with us. And when God is with us, it changes our environment. And when God changes our environment, then we're no longer afraid of being favored. And we're no longer afraid of growing. And we're no longer afraid of changing our plans for his plans because he's with us and he's changed our environment. And so when I get into my text with Mary and Elizabeth, I found this so beautiful because this is not the same Mary that we met when the angel of the Lord came and spoke to her. This is a Mary who has accepted that she is favored. And she decides to go and have a moment with Elizabeth, who has also been favored as well. Because favored people need to be connected with other people who understand what it's like to be favored. That's why sometimes you end up outgrowing friendships and relationships. They don't change. Something happened where I started believing I was favored. And when you're favored, you're not jealous of another woman's favor because you realize that her favor is not my favor. That girl was singing, I was like, sing, baby, because that's not where I'm favored. But when they hand me this microphone, I'm going to count on heaven and I will be favored in my realm and in my lane. I'm not jealous of you when you are favored. So this favored woman gets with another favored woman. And when this favored woman gets with another favored woman, then one of the favored women end up getting filled with the Holy Spirit. Because when favor gets together, there's going to be increase. I just need one or two favored people to match my favor so that we can have some increase in the spirit realm. I just need one or two favored people who wouldn't mind saying, I'll add my favor to your favor. And let's see if the Spirit of God can break out in this place. I need one or two people who don't mind saying, sis, I'm not mad at you for being favored, because God has an assignment on my life. Your grace got to create an environment. Elizabeth tells Mary, blessed are you, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. That means your blessing and your fruit's blessing are two different blessings, but they're both blessed. That means that your business is blessed. That means that that book is blessed. That means that that child is blessed. And you are blessed too. That your blessing doesn't have anything to do with what you produce, but because you are blessed, when you produce with God, everything you do is going to be blessed too.
Hallelujah. Thank you, God.
I'm producing from my blessing. I'm producing from my overflow. I'm producing from what God did down on the inside of me. That's why I wake up every day and I acknowledge what he's done for me. Because if I acknowledge what he's done for me, then I can acknowledge what he's going to do through me. There's something that needs to come out of you. Oh, I felt that for somebody.
Oh, yes.
It's got to come out of you. It's got to come out of you by any means necessary. It's got to come out of you. It's got to come out of you. Blessed are you, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. This city, I feel this prophetically. I don't know who you are. This city needs what's in you. This city needs what's in you. It's going to change the environment. Your community, your family, I don't know who you are. And I don't know what God placed down on the inside of you. But I hear God saying it must come out. It must come out. The moment that Mary and Elizabeth got together, I know hell got nervous. Because their growth was connected to one another. See, because when you're favored by yourself, it can be hard, but when you meet another woman who understands what it's like to be favored, you get your confidence up a little bit.
Amen.
Because you say to yourself, if she can survive getting married at 13 and still find God and have a relationship with him, then I wonder what he can do with my divorce. When you meet another woman who's made it to the other side, if you've made it past the other side of any kind of trauma, molestation, teen pregnancy, divorce, can you just let somebody else in this room who was wondering whether or not they can make it to the other side, let them know that there comes a point that addiction has to let go of you. There comes a point when heartbreak has to let go of you. I know you're down in the dumps right now. I just want to know if you could be a Mary and Elizabeth in this room right now. Because there's a woman who needs to know that you can make it to the other side. You need someone who's gone a little bit ahead of you to let you know that you can count on this favor. That God doesn't do temporary favor.
Okay, now.
That when you come into alignment with who he says you are, I feel like God wants to change somebody's identity. That you've been thinking that you are what happened to you. You've been thinking that you are who left you. Or maybe you think you are who stayed. And I hear God saying you're none of those things. You're who I say you are. And if you need a reminder, that's why getting in our word is so important, because when we get in our word, we get a reminder of who God says I am. God says I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. But God, did you know that I had that baby? But God, did you know that I had that rape? But God, he says you're still fearfully and wonderfully made. He said I saw all of that, and guess what? All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So the question is, are you going to answer the call so that I can show you how I'm going to make all of that work together for your good? What is the call? The call is simply surrender. God, I surrender to who you say I am. I'm almost finished. You can play. God, I surrender. I surrender to who you say I am. God, I surrender to what you say I can do. God, I surrender to what you want to see happen in my city through me. God, I surrender. The bitterness, it is trying to take me out. I'm so upset about what occurred and what happened. But God, I surrender that your love says that I'm going to make it to the other side. God, I surrender. And when I surrender, it creates an environment for me to flourish. God, I invite you into my surrender. And we can start flourishing in this room with just a simple waving of our hands and a simple lifting of our voices. We can say, you know what, God? I need the environment to shift. I need to flourish. We can say in this room through our worship, I don't want to feel like I'm deteriorating anymore. Like the best of me is behind me and that there's no more future left for me. I don't want to feel like that anymore. God, I want to flourish for real. Not just that temporary thing where I feel good in church and then I go back home and I think nothing's actually changed. I want to feel your presence with me everywhere I go. And God, when I flourish, then you'll show me what my purpose is. And you'll show me why I was the one who survived and why I was the one who didn't end up somewhere dead. God, just show me why it was me who found a way in the church. No one in my family's even saved, but God, you allowed me to find you. God, you'll show me that you always had an environment that could facilitate my greatness in spite of the environments that produced my brokenness. What if I told you that at the same time the environment that was producing your brokenness, that there was another environment that all you had to do was step into? I want to pray with you. I want to pray for people who want to step into that environment. I want to step into an environment that a man can't take away from me. I want to step into an environment that a paycheck can't meet. I want to step into an environment that isn't dictated or qualified by what other people think about me. This environment produces wholeness. This environment produces growth. It allows me to forgive. It allows me to believe again. And if that's you, if it's okay, I want you to meet me as close to this altar as you can. And this is such a powerful